So hi and welcome everyone. Hi, everyone who's watching and listening. And Miki, also a great honor to have you here on the show. Tuning in from New York. No.
Austin, Texas today.
Oh yes. Okay. Beautiful. Oh, somewhere else. And this session is called Challenging the Status Quo, and what better title can we have for this guest and for this interview? And I am particularly excited. I shared this with Miki. I received a phone call just a couple of days ago if I would be interested to interview this fantastic kick-ass boss lady, and I was feeling like a teenager because I jumped up in the air when Tanya from the Female Factor called up and said, "Of course, that's my juice, one of my biggest inspirations and role models of the last couple of years." So I'm super particularly excited for me, for you, for everyone to have you there. And yeah, it's just going to be a lovely chat between all of us and two of us. And I want to give you the space to also introduce yourself, but I would love to ask you, for especially the ones who don't know, what does poop, periods, and gluten-free pizza have in common? And how the heck or why the heck are you choosing to spend your precious life energy and time on this earth to do cool shit? Hi, everyone, and welcome, Miki.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, I think, the first thing I want to talk about is just the three questions I always ask myself before I start any business. And I think that's relevant to all three of the businesses, which is how I kind of got into the businesses of pizza, periods, pee, and poop in the first place. I think, in my first book, Do Cool Shit, I always ask myself the three questions. I wrote those three questions in my book, and these are the three questions I ask myself before I start any business. So the first question I ask myself is, what sucks in my world? What sucks in my world? And so at the time, having a stomach ache, I would go out and eat in New York City, and I would have awful stomach aches coming back because I was kind of not careful with what I ate, and it became a real problem in my world. And so when I stopped eating pizza because pizza was making me feel bloated and uncomfortable, and every time I ate it, it was just feeling very gassy, it sort of triggered an idea of, oh my goodness, this is not just a pain point for me. 1 in 5 Americans eat gluten-free. A huge percentage of the world's population are lactose intolerant. And there was an opportunity to turn this, multi-billion-dollar industry, $32 billion pizza industry on its head, and use gluten-free flours and hormone-free cheeses and organic seasonal toppings. So what sucks in my world? Having a stomach ache. The second question is, does it suck for a lot of people? As I said, it sucks. It has a huge opportunity, huge problem for a lot of people. And then the third question is, can I be passionate about this issue, cause, or community for a really long time? And so can I be passionate about food and food issues and what preservatives and antibiotics and pesticides and hormones and all the crap that big companies are putting in food today? And can we create alternative, healthier, organic, local, seasonal options that support local farmers? Can I be passionate about that for the rest of my life? Absolutely. And so, so that was when I said yes to the first business. What sucks in my world? Does it suck for a lot of people? Can I be passionate about this issue, cause, or community for a really long time? And then you turn that again, ask myself those three questions for my next business, Thinx, which is the period-proof underwear company that I started, which, what sucks in my world? Having period accidents every single month sucked in my world. Having oh my God, running from one restaurant to another, it was as though I just had my period for the first time in my life, and it was just a disaster. And so it was just a real problem. I just bled through all of my clothes all the time. And does it suck for a lot of people? Every single woman here can raise your hand. If you can raise your hand, I would hope to probably see every one of you raise your hand to say, yes, I have had a period accident in my life. And so does it suck for a lot of people? Yes, it does. And can I be passionate about this issue, cause, or community for a really long time? Can I be passionate about women's issues and liberating a concept of a woman's period into, a taboo world, into a society where this is considered taboo? Absolutely. I can be passionate about this for the rest of my life. I think and then for Tushy, what sucks in my world, I developed a very intense hyperthyroid condition. And one of the side effects is pooping a lot. And I was just constantly going to the bathroom, and eventually my butt just got really chapped and really painful. And eventually I had to jump in the shower and just like not use dry toilet paper because it was so abrasive and painful. And then my husband at the time got me, my boyfriend at the time, now husband, same person, got me, this is going to be our 10-year anniversary, which is so crazy, but got me this kind of, he found this, crappy bidet product. My computer, I don't know why. Found this crappy bidet product on the internet, and it changed my life. And I was like, oh my God, I need to bring the best in class bidet product that's not like a whole multi-$1,000 plumbing, electrical, crazy install, but just clips onto your existing toilet, turns any toilet into a bidet in less than 10 minutes with no plumbing or electrical requirements, saves millions of trees over time. Right now, 15 million trees are cut down every year for toilet paper consumption, billions of gallons of water, all the different things. So, what sucked in my world was having really painful poops. Does it suck for a lot of people? Yes. 1 in 7 women have thyroid issues. GI people have 1 in 3 people have GI issues. There's so many chronic UTIs, urinary tract infections, hemorrhoids, anal fissures, anal itching, like all
the
of
list goes on and on.
The list goes on. And people with mobility issues, people who can't reach and wipe their own butts, people, the elderly community, the environmentalists, there's just so the pregnant moms, there's so many people where this sucks, in the post-pregnant moms who are like in so much pain. When I gave birth, going to the bathroom was like a really painful thing. And so there was just a huge opportunity to like, it was a huge pain point for me, and it sucked for a lot of people. And I could be passionate about sort of saving millions of trees, the global sanitation crisis, and then elevating the human experience by going to the bathroom.
How does a person go from this sucks in my life to really disrupting, and this is my favorite word for you, and you know it, why, like businesses and building profitable, incredible business and changing the world? How did you start asking yourself this question, and why? Because one thing is to fix it in your own life, but then to take this mission and this inner drive, and despite all the criticism, despite all the possible projection, despite all the crazy ways of how we talk about periods and poop in a normal setting, you're going into that. So you're leaning in and not out. So what's your juice here?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's just, to give ourselves permission to question everything in our lives. I wrote my book, Disrupt Her, to disrupt this old conditioned way of thinking, that we think this is just the way it is, and this is just the way it has to be, because I guess this is the way it's been done, and therefore I can't necessarily question or challenge it. But the truth is, you can question and challenge absolutely everything in your life. And so it's really it's really interesting to kind of see that breakthrough that I have and that other people have around, wait, I can make it better, I can challenge it, I can make my life just like exponentially better by inventing products that support my life and the life of others who have the same problem. It's like a wow, like it's kind of like, you think about like, the Wizard of Oz. I think about Wizard of Oz all the time. And it's like the idea of like meeting Oz, and it's so scary to meet this Oz person, and which is like challenging society. It's like, to me, like society is like Oz. It's like, we don't want to make society mad based on what we're doing. So we're just going to kowtow to society. But then when you like pull back the curtain, it's like this little man, and it's a little man who's just like marionetting this big Oz thing. It's just like, oh, that's it. It's so you think about society. Society was created by people, no different than you and me, hundreds of years ago. So we can challenge that. We can change that. We can disrupt that completely anytime we want. And so I think it's that first permission slip that I feel like I was given in my life by my parents, by being brought up in Montreal, Canada, by being brought up in 4 different cultures, Japanese, Indian, French, and English, in a very accepting place like Canada, was, that permission slip to question was so important. So yeah. And I would love to, I'm here really to serve those who are here. And so, I think, I'd love to hear from everybody here, like what would be most valuable for you to get out of this conversation. And I don't know if Alisa, you can start by kicking off some questions, but, ultimately this is a collaborative conversation. And I think the point of this being like a chat is so that everyone has an opportunity to chat together.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Miki, for that. So I see we have more than 50 people watching. So you can type, you can ask questions, just be part of this process, because otherwise we're just going to continue here. But
ask your questions. Now's your time.
You have already one question. I'm sorry, you have already one question.
We have already one question. Where is this?
Yes.
This is not
under Q&A. What's the most valuable advice?
Okay, for some reason I'm not seeing the Q&A, Alina. I'm not sure if this is part of it.
I can read it. It's
perfect.
What's the most valuable advice Miki received or has regarding the early stage of a startup? I would say the first thing that I would do before starting a business, and it sounds very counterintuitive, is to really strengthen my community, meaning, really, really show up for my friends. And what I mean by that is, when we're in, putting our head down and working, and we're like, sorry guys, can't hang out. Sorry, I'm too busy. Sorry, I have this meeting. Sorry, I have a call. Sorry, I have to put all these things together. And then you kind of drop off the face of the planet, which I know a lot of entrepreneurs who do that, especially in early stage. And I think the most important thing is in the beginning is to strengthen all the relationships that I have in my life, my close friends, my community, to host dinner parties, to really build those connections, ask them about their lives, really care for them. If they have things, show up for them, even if you're busy, because the entrepreneurial journey is a windy, windy road, and it is ups and downs and twists and turns. And at the end of the day, what we have is our friends. What we have is our family. What we have is our community. So when we're like, Mom, can't talk right now, or unless it's a negative reception of friends and people, that's another very important thing I talk about in Do Cool Shit in my book, which is to eliminate all the negative relationships in your life that poo-poo or naysay or say, stay in your safe job, don't take the leap and chase your dreams. That's definitely, I would say, eliminate those friends and then start seeking new friends and new community and new people in your life who really champion you. And then from that place to really, really nurture those relationships, because then when you build your businesses, you'll have those people to fall back on. So that's step 01. And then when it comes to, just launching a business, I think it's just how much energy do you have every single day towards launching your company? If you're working another job to pay the bills and then you're starting your startup, say, I will devote 2 hours every single day. And this is when you actually, we can time manage. Oftentimes we're on our computers, looking on Instagram, or we're checking our email constantly, or we're getting the ding from that notification, or turn all your notifications off. You can devote 2 hours a day to your dream, and just focus on doing the most valuable thing you can do, the next best step you can take for your business. And you'll figure out what that is. If it's developing a physical product, it's moving that product forward, contacting either a product developer through Upwork, or going to Alibaba and finding a manufacturer who's made something similar to yours and reaching out to them and saying, hey, I'd love for you to help me prototype my product. And if you do, then I will give you my business when the time comes. And so really forging those early relationships. And then I would host, in my book, Do Cool Shit, I talk about the meeting of the minds, which is hosting a meeting of the minds event, sort of gatherings. And the way you do that, and I talk very much in detail in my book, Do Cool Shit, about that, which is to make it a win-win. Because when you're like, hello, like I've received so many calls, hey, can I pick your brain? I have an idea for a company. I don't know you, but I want to take from you first. As the first thing I'm meeting you, I'm going to take and ask you a question. It's like, no, I don't know you. I have no interest in what? No. So always lead with how can I help you versus how can you help me? Same thing when I talk about building your community in the very beginning. Show up for your friends, ask them questions, be in their lives, show up hard, because when you're going through ups and downs in your relationship, they'll show up back. And you're not doing it for tit for tat. You're doing it because you really care. And I think in the same way, when it comes to asking people for advice, you never do that by just saying, hey, can I pick your brain? Hey, I really like your stuff. Can you be my mentor? It's like, no, versus, hey, I'm curating an amazing dinner, that's on me, that's being cooked for. You can have your mom cook for you. You can do whatever you need. When I first started my first business, I had no money, I had no connections, nothing except a few good friends who had nice apartments. And I was like, hey, can I borrow your apartment? And you'll get to meet a bunch of epic, cool, creators, thinkers, entrepreneurs, business people that you can collaborate with. And so they were like, sure. So I hosted a dinner party at my friend's beautiful loft apartment in exchange for making it a win-win for them to meet really interesting people. So then I would then invite these really interesting people who didn't know each other, but who were the smartest people I knew in different walks of life, whether it's an investment banker, a designer, a creative, a musician, a branding person, a developer, just a consultant, like 20 different walks of life I invited. And I said, you have been handpicked. And I actually said, I wrote the email in my book, Do Cool Shit. I share exactly the email I sent to get all 20 people to show up. And, you've been handpicked to, as part of this brilliant brain trust of epic minds. I'd love to invite you to an amazing dinner with 20 other brilliant minds that you haven't met yet, that I'm so excited for you to connect with, at my friend's, at this beautiful loft apartment where dinner will be served on the house.
How could you say no to that?
How could you say no to that?
Exactly, yeah.
Can I pick your brain? And it's like, no. So when I first started, I made it a win-win, and all 20 people said yes to coming to my meeting, to my dinner, because I made them connect with each other. And throughout the night, I was like, did you guys connect? Oh my God, you would love to meet this person because you're a marketing person, you're a branding person, you should do business together. And so made these connections in this dinner. And then throughout that night, a big part of the dinner was brainstorming my business idea. And basically the brainstorm, the meeting of the minds, I thought they were going to brainstorm for an hour and a half or 2 hours. They were 6-7 hour sessions where people were so bought in to dreaming up this big business idea that I had, because they had such a beautiful night and they felt such a generosity in their own spirit because they felt so taken care of. And so it's this, a lot of people are like, well, I don't have any connections. I don't know anybody. I don't have, I don't know what to do. And it's like, no, there's always something that you can do. For example, if you're a student and you don't know all these business people, you can always go to your school newspaper for your college and say, hey, I have this awesome entrepreneur I'd love for you to interview for the business section of our, of our school magazine. And I'd love to have them be interviewed. So then you can reach out to me or whoever and say, dear Miki or whoever, I'd love for you to meet with our editor-in-chief of our school newspaper, and our school reaches 10,000 people, at our school, and I'd love for you to be interviewed. Let me know if there's some dates and times. And I'll be like, oh, that's so nice. Happy to do it. And so now I'm like, wow, that's so nice of the student to reach out. Now the next email after the email, the student responds and says, hey, here's a link to the article that was published about you. By the way, I have a few questions about entrepreneurship. Can I ask you? Am I more likely to say of course or no?
I love that. Yeah.
Of course, right? And so there's always something you can give first so that the person could then want to, it's human nature to want to give back. So don't ask and take, give and offer and serve, and that will change the course of your life and your business 100%.
That was a fantastic mic drop. We could already like finish off the session and say that was it, but I'm joking. No, I think it's incredible what you point out. And I love that you are emphasizing on the personal connections and the relationships, not to neglect them. Then the second part is, it concludes you from your mind to this said, like taking this one step with the biggest impact, which is so simple. And yet sometimes so we forget and get lost in this vision. But just one step. I love that. And
it's like leading with how can I help you first,
yes,
before how can you help me, even if you're the one that needs more help than me. If you lead with how can I help you, human nature says I would like to help you back. So
I love that. Yeah.
Don't ever, if there's one thing that you could take from this, is to never ever 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 send an email again saying, can I pick your brain, can you be my mentor, don't ever do that, because it's the fastest form of like annoyance for the people who receive that over and over again. And there's no offering. Like, offer something, give something, be generous with yourself. Even if you think you're the person that needs the most help, you can always be generous with your time, with figuring things out, and the person will oblige back.
I love that. Thank you for pointing this out. This is such a wisdom nugget here. And yeah, I would suggest I figured out how the questions work and I can see them. So now you can relax more. And I would take the next question, which goes maybe hand in hand into what you said, to creating this powerful opportunities, connecting with people. But how did you find investors, in case you need some, for the first products?
Yeah, I mean, so this was also very unorthodox. Like, I did it, and this is through like a very similar strategy to Meeting of the Minds, where initially I thought like, okay, the way you like make, raise money is by putting on my suit and having very formal meetings with the people who have money. And that just never worked for me, because it was always so inauthentic to me. Like, I felt very awkward, very uncomfortable, very robotic, and very out of my confidence. And then I thought back to and I remember spending 6 months trying to do it this way, and I raised $0, like a big fat donut. And I was just like, okay, this isn't working for me. And then I just stopped and just paused and just took a breath and said, okay, where am I most confident in my life? Where am I most confident in my life? And I was like, oh, playing soccer. And that was the first thing that popped to my head, because I played soccer. And I remember in college, I used to bring boys, who I liked, to watch me play soccer, and they would really like me after, because I was really good at playing at soccer. And so it was like, oh my God, when you bring people to places where you shine, they are attracted to that, right? Versus when you're awkward and out of your element and you feel really not yourself, people are like, how can I trust this person when they're even awkward themselves? Like, how could they build a business and me entrust them with my money when they're like, oh, like, hello, nice to meet you, my name is, and you're just like, So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to bring investors to watch me play soccer, but where else do I shine? And then I was like, oh my God, dinner parties. I'm really good at hosting dinner parties. I'm really good at making people connect with each other. I'm really good at just, organizing events that make people feel really connected. And I walk people through exactly how to do this in my book, Do Cool Shit. And so I did the exact same thing. I started hosting fundraising dinner parties, because I couldn't raise $1 trying to do it the formal way. So I started hosting fundraising dinner parties in the very same way I did the Meeting of the Minds, where I would invite people, brilliant, like-minded people that I knew were had some pocket change in their pockets. And I would then, and at the time, I was very nervous presenting my business at the time, because I was still 24 years old and 24, 25. And I was nervous and I was just so stage frighty. And so I then had my friend with a British accent present my idea for me.
Really?
A fabulous guy with a bow tie and super fancy. and he would present, this is why I think this idea is a brilliant idea. And he would like, and it was a theatrical experience. And I would just be that person being like, oh my God, have you guys met? Like, did you try this pizza? Like, did you guys, and made sure everyone felt super connected. And then I had like the part that made me the most robotic and not myself. I had someone present it for me, one of my dear friends who I'm so grateful for to this day, Richard. And so that I raised $250,000 for my first restaurant that way. And people would just literally like write me like checks, like in the moment. And they were like, I'm so connected. I feel so great. Like, all right, I'm in, like, send me the paperwork later. It was like that, because they just want to be part of something bigger than themselves. And like this community and this collective and these environments that were created, they made people feel so special and so connected. So that's how I raised the money. So it's a very unorthodox way. So I would always ask yourself, like, put yourself in a place where you are the most comfortable and confident. And maybe for you, it's one-on-one connecting period. My husband is way better one-on-one than in groups. So he's much more comfortable sitting across somebody and talking to them and connecting with them one-on-one. So just find that place where you're the most, where you feel like you can be the most you, the most authentically you, and that's it.
Wow, thank you for sharing this. This is just wonderful to get reminded how important it is to bring this humanness back into business entrepreneurship. And that's, yeah, we all have fears and desires and places where we shine. And if you match the spot, then that makes completely sense. Love it, love it. Let's continue with some questions, because I think this is what you also suggested in the beginning, gives us the most out of it for everyone. And we have here a question. What's your?
We missed the Alexa one, the second one.
I was not planning to go it by order, but we can.
Oh, okay, great. Then go do you. Sorry.
But Alexa, I have not forgotten you. You are here in my mind, consciousness.
I see it.
Exactly. What's your number one trait that brought you where you are today as an entrepreneur? Is there one thing? Can we really narrow it down?
Say that one more time.
What's the number one thing that brought you where you are right now today as an entrepreneur?
I think it's just relentlessness. There has to be a level of relentlessness. And sometimes we live in a society that's very sensitive and that, like, I gotta know, ouch, I can't go back, I'm so embarrassed. I got 1,000 no's, and you have to be just relentless in your belief in your idea, because if it's not, especially when it's ideas that are uncomfortable to talk about, or there are things that people are like, period proof underwear, bleed in your underwear. That sounds disgusting. Should I be hearing it? Ha ha ha. Like, is this for women? Or like, like it's just, or is poop spray everywhere? Ha ha. Like, bidet, like, and it just, to just be like, oh, no, you have no idea. This thing changed my life. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, so like sharing my authentic story over and over and over again, just by saying like, no, you have no idea. Like, I had my downstairs was in so much pain, and putting a bidet in, like, and doing it in 5 minutes, like literally 10 minutes. It's literally, we have I think our record is someone installed it in like 6 minutes flat or something like that. But like, it's like so fast to install a bidet that washes your butt, and you barely use toilet paper to pat dry. You can use a towel. A lot of we have almost 1 million customers, and a big chunk of them don't even use toilet paper at all. They just use we have organic bamboo butt towels. And so for me, it's just a relentless belief in your business, in your idea, in like what you're creating, and how it's amazing for you, for other people, for the world, for the planet. And that belief has to be so deeply in your core, because if you're starting a business because you're like, I want to make money, and like, I want to just start another t-shirt company because I've seen so many people are like, oh my God, Bombas socks, look how much money they've made. I'm gonna start another sock company and I'm gonna make it as big as Bombas. But there's like no passion, no purpose, no heart, no authenticity behind it, just money. And it's just like, that's just that inspiration piddles off in 2 seconds. And the minute you get a no, you're not inspired. Like, for example, with Tushy, since Tushy's taken off and we've had huge exponential growth, we've had over 20 competitors launch over the last few years. And they all were just trying to get into the marketing and just like put up websites and trying to compete with us. But they didn't understand that we took care of our customers. We have the very best customer service out of any bidet brand in the world. And so if you have a problem, money back. If you have a problem, we support you. We call you. We take care. Like, we take care of our people, and that's a big moat. And so like really, really being authentically caring of what you're doing, authentically caring of how you deliver it, authentically caring about your customers and who is engaging with what you're doing, not just zeros and ones, people who are buying, but who are these people, and like what do they care about, and are they having problems? I'm here to support you. And so I think like it's that deep like relentlessness because of an authentic belief in like that your thing that you're doing is going to support people, that is going to elevate humans, elevate planet, elevate something in the world that can help you get through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship.
I love it. And by the way, I haven't tried Tushy, but I'm a very happy, loyal customer with the period underwear. So I can recommend everyone. It's changed also my life.
Yeah, I'm telling you, hellotushy.com. Do not go to tushy.com. It's a very graphic porn site. So go to hellotushy.com, please, and check it out. It's artful. It's beautiful. I mean, I'm really proud of it. And it's also life-changing. And if you go to our like product pages, and you can see like our comments of all the customers, and these are all third-party, from Yotpo, which is a third-party customer service comments or reviews company that basically like, you can't like doctor these because it comes from a third party where the customer has to respond through the third party. So these are all authentic reviews. And I mean, if you read them, they're the funniest, most creative. People's lives are changed. Minds are blown. So it sounds like, oh my God, just spraying your butt. Like how, oh yeah, just brushing my teeth for the first time. It's the same thing. It's like, my teeth aren't falling out. How did that happen? Because I brushed it's the same thing. It's like, I can't believe I've gone my life without using a Tushy bidet. Like, I can't even believe it. So anyways, that's my piece. I'm that passionate about it, and it's that authentic.
I love your passion. I would love to continue talking with you and like answering these dope questions. I am, the timekeeper, the time bitch today, if I may say so. So we have around 7 minutes, and we said we're going to own it to Alexis. I would like to ask this question. We have another one so that we have this in mind. So I'm going to read out Alexis' question. What has been the biggest challenge in launching your brands or businesses, and how did you approach it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, again, people being like, ew, why should I buy that? No one's going to invest in that. A bidet, like Americans, ew, no, or a bit under whatever it is. Like, it's the constant naysayers of like, just that's cute, but just go and get a job. Like, aw, and I think it's just the constant naysayer types who, whether it's friends, family, press, like investor types, where you go on to meeting and the investor doesn't get it and they just shit on you. Like I've gotten, like I've experienced with Tushy. They're like, this is just a dumb idea. I'm like, thank you for your thoughts, and I'll see you later. And now, of course, those people are calling me being like, my biggest mistake ever was not investing in your company. And I'm just like, all right, delete, and so it's sort of like that type of experiences. Like I've had investors just literally shame me in meetings and try to make me feel really bad or dumb. And I would literally just rip them a new asshole, basically, and just say like, who the fuck are you? And just put them in their place, and they've never experienced that in their whole lives. And I think sometimes that's needed. So I would say like, just constantly checking in with myself over and over again, constantly checking in with yourself over and over again, and just saying like, is this in alignment? Am I in integrity? Am I in integrity? Am I in integrity? And integrity is like what I'm thinking, feeling, and saying have to align. Like we say things that we think are and feel are completely different. You know, we're like, hey, and then like in our heads, we're like, bitch, or like, you know, we're like, oh my God, things are going really well. In your head, you're like, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, you know? And it's like, oh my God, I'm like so good. And it's just like, I don't know what I'm doing, you know? And so it's like, versus just being like, you know, like things are going well. And I'm like, you know, like going through those growing pains of figuring out what to do next. And like, I'm trying to figure things out. You know, maybe you can, like, if I bounce some ideas off of you, maybe you can support me, versus like living in your own silo of your brain and living in fear and not wanting to tell people how scared you are. It's like, to me, the biggest challenge for most people is speaking your truth and being in integrity. And actually, like, because when you're speaking your truth, everything comes out and you have to deal with the truth. And you have to deal with like what's going on in your business, in your life, in your personal life, in everything. And once you deal with it, things get better and things get better. Because as you stuff things under the rug, you know, people think like the biggest challenge is like, oh, scaling. No, the biggest challenge is you. The biggest challenge is like getting over all of your own shit and all of your own embarrassments and your shames and, oh my God, what will people think, and what will this mean, and how will I look and whatever, what will my parents say? Like, all of that is like, is this in complete alignment? Am I thinking, feeling, and saying, like, is that in full alignment? And if the answer is yes, then you are on the right track. And if you're not, that's your biggest challenge.
I love that. Whew.
Yeah.
This is really exciting. And I just want to give you, because we have a couple of more minutes, maybe we can make a quickie question, but I just want to say what's going on in the chat. People are loving your products and praising and sharing the love. And Mariana says, as an Italian, missing her visit so much in London, you just changed my life, Miki. And she asked actually the final question that we maybe can manage in 2 minutes or less. So that's kind of a short focus there, but it fits very well what you just read right now in terms of how have you, like she's asking, have you always been that confident? Do you need to train yourself? And how do you keep up the confidence? So do you have some tips on how can we unleash our confidence within?
Yeah, I think it's, again, it's finding where you shine, and it's like, and also practice. I mean, I hated speaking on like publicly for my heart would be like, and I would be so terrified of like messing up, you know? And it's like, and then you ask like, then I go to my higher self, and I'm just like, my higher self says, who cares? You're out there, you're trying, you're in the ring, you're making it happen, you're figuring it out, and you're brave enough to put yourself out there like that. And that's enough. And if you mess up, great, you learn from it. And so I think it's sort of like, I think it's like the muscle memory of being okay with not being perfect, and being okay with messing up, and being okay with, you know, things not going exactly as you wanted, and still picking yourself up and putting one foot in front of the other. You know, I've been through a lot in business. I've experienced a lot. I've experienced a lot of public shaming, even from crazy experiences of people wanting to take me down for whatever reason, you know, and female power, like entrepreneur, whatever it is, like there are people who want to do that. And, you know, for me, it's like, great. Like, let me share my feelings, let me express them to my community, to my friends. These are the people who helped me through those thick and thin times. And, you know, and then I get back up and put one foot in front of the other, and do it with my friends and family behind me. And I think that's why I keep saying, like, having people on your team and who love you and who you love and who you champion and who you support, so important. Because when you're going through all this stuff, when you lack confidence, when you're feeling your most down, when you're feeling like, oh my God, am I like, ooh, you know, like it brings me back to life. And so the confidence I think deeply comes from being true to yourself again and again and again. And that again means like being okay with not being perfect, being okay with not messing up. And I talk about that, Disrupt Her, at length, about just like, how do you break through yourself? You know, how do you practice being a warrior, gatekeeper of your mind? And that's all in Disrupt Her. So
I think that was the perfect ending, and it's an invitation for everyone who is watching. Check out her amazing businesses and products, check out her books. And what can I say more? It was a pleasure. It was so much fun. Thank you everyone for tuning in, for your amazing questions. And Miki, thank you for sharing your experience so rawly and openly. Thanks for being here. Thank you everyone.
Thank you all.
Enjoy the rest of the conference, and Miki, enjoy your fantastic, beautiful day.
Thank you. Oh, the last thing I was going to say, if you have any further questions, you could DM me on Insta, which is just at Miki Agrawal.
See, that's invitation already to connect more deeper. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Bye-bye.